Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. Before we start, a short PSA. Christmas is coming, and so YouTube's algorithm will prioritize serving videos on the holiday subject, and if you're not subscribed to my channel, you probably won't see my videos in your feed. So come on, click that subscribe button and let's keep enjoying these stories every day. Now let's move on to the story. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user Stuckin2. I, 33 male, messed up with my wife, 30 female, over my parents, early 60s, and I don't know how to fix things. Some background. I am an only child, and it's been drilled into me from an early age that I need to be there for my parents when they get older. For the most part, I don't mind. They've done their best to give me what I need, and I'm only too glad to help out when I can. When I got married, I was happy to know my wife shared this sentiment too. She treats my parents like her own for the most part. The issue: my parents are currently here visiting us. They've been here for 2 months and the plan is for them to stay another 3 weeks. This hasn't been an issue for us. A couple of days ago, my wife had what she thought was her period, but after some time she was in a lot of pain, so I rushed her to the ER where we were told she was having a miscarriage. This was a huge surprise to both of us because we didn't suspect anything. She was sent home with orders to rest and take it easy, and upon her insistence, we told my parents that she had a stomach upset and that, along with her period, made things worse. The next day, my wife was in bed resting when, and this part is based on what she told me since I was at work, my mother entered the room and asked her when she was getting out of bed as there was work to be done. She politely replied that she wasn't feeling well and that she would be staying in bed all day, but if my mom wanted something to be done, to note it down and that she would do it the following day. My wife, let's call her Lucy, told my mom that if it was a truly urgent matter, she would ask me to take care of it in the evening. My mom proceeded to yell at her and tell her that she was a no-good lazy bitch who took advantage of her son. Lucy started crying and asked my mom to leave the room, but my mom stood there yelling at her till Lucy picked up the phone and called me. Apparently, when she said so, my mom left the room and Lucy got out and locked the door. I picked up her call and she was still crying and wasn't able to give me an answer, so I rushed home at lunchtime. She told me the whole story and I'm ashamed to say I didn't believe it. My mom had never behaved like that, ever, and I didn't see her doing it. I got Lucy to take a nap and asked my mother what happened, and she told me she just asked Lucy what she wanted for lunch when Lucy started crying. I messed up again and let it slip that Lucy had had a miscarriage and told my mom to keep an eye on her because it might have been her hormones causing her to cry. Well, 2 hours after I got back to work and I get another call from Lucy, except this time I can hear my mom screaming terrible things at Lucy about her miscarriage. I rushed home immediately and confronted my parents. My mom was unrepentant and my dad said he didn't want to be dragged into the issue. I asked Lucy what she wanted and she told me she wanted my parents out of the house immediately. This posed a problem for me and I told her I'd put him in a hotel somewhere for a night or two. She lost it and said that I wasn't to spend a single dollar on them, not after the things my mom had said to her. I told her sorry, but that was out of the question as my parents depended on me. She started weeping and told me to get out and I left her alone for some time. During that time, she'd called her brother, who lives in the next town, and he turned up. He didn't say a single word, just helped Lucy pack and they left. I tried to stop her and to get her to stay, but all she told me was that as long as my parents were here, she wouldn't be. I didn't know what to do. I just kept calling her and leaving messages for her. My parents took it upon themselves to call up her parents, who live in a different country, and essentially insult them by telling them that if they'd brought up their daughter better, she wouldn't have left. I had to snatch the phone away from them and apologize to her parents. They were totally baffled, so I explained everything to them, after which they hung up on me. That hurt. I left a message apologizing again, but they haven't replied. The next day, I got a message from my wife asking me to come to her brother's place. I went after work and we spoke. She told me it wasn't fair that she couldn't be in her own house while my parents were. According to her, it felt like being punished for no fault of her own. And then she told me that if my parents weren't out by the end of the week, on their own money, not ours, she would leave me. I know my parents need to go, but each time I tell them, my dad refuses to buy a ticket to leave and says they'll leave when they planned to leave. And if I keep pressuring them, they'll disown me. I can't get them out of the house, I'm at work all day. And if I don't get them out, my wife will leave me and I can't imagine having a life without her. My parents don't care that she'll leave me. My wife doesn't care that my parents might disown me. Yesterday, her brother called me up and told me that each day my parents are in our home and she isn't, she hates me a little more. I don't know what to do. I don't want to get the police to kick my parents out because, well, they are my parents. I can't lose my wife. I can't see a way out of this. Help me, please. Well, OP, this is one of those situations that something's gotta give. The choice you might think is not easy, but it is between your parents and your wife. And I gotta say, stick with the wife. You're married to her, and she's your family. Your parents are now your extended family. Honestly, to me, it doesn't seem that hard of a choice. Of course, you have to pick your wife, so get your parents out of there however you can. And if they disown you because of it, well, so be it. They disrespected your wife in her own house, and she had to leave because of them. They called her parents to insult them, and they don't care that she might leave you. Now, I know that it's been instilled in you that you need to be there for your parents when they get older, but I believe this is one of those outlier cases that when your parents turn into a-holes, you can say no. Maybe it's a cultural thing and I'm just talking out of my ass, and maybe not, but I'd still pick my wife. What about you guys? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Lucy NJ 1990 says, your parents need to leave now. Call the cops. You made a commitment to your wife. I understand that they are your parents, but come on, man. Your mother treated your wife horrible. After she learned about the miscarriage, she continued to verbally abuse her to the point that you could hear her over the phone. Your first reaction should have been to throw them the hell out and not pay for it. Furthermore, they called her parents, who most likely didn't know what was going on, and bashed her. What in the hell is wrong with you? Kick them out. If you don't, your wife may never forgive you. You didn't believe her the first time, and you let your parents stay in her home. From where she sits, after miscarrying, you are completely taking their side. Your mother sounds horrid, and your father as well. Kick them out as soon as possible, or you may damn well lose your wife. Do you want that? Because you are basically saying, sorry hon, they come first. You're an adult. Grow up. Imeldas Narcos says, when you sided with your mom, you basically accused your wife of lying to you. When you said you couldn't see your mother yelling at her like that, you essentially told your wife that she was a liar. Your wife is dealing with a miscarriage. It F's with everything about your being, both physically, hormones are no effing joke, and emotionally. There's a very real possibility that she's grieving right now. Everything you have done since this first incident has shown her that you do not value your family with her the way that you value your parents. You've got a choice to make right now, her or your parents. Lastly, your wife did not put you in this position. You did. What she is asking is totally reasonable. She was verbally assaulted in her home while she was vulnerable. If it was you in that position, would you be okay with the assailant staying in your home? If you had believed your wife and stood up for her from the get-go, you would not be in this position. If you choose to support her in this, it's important that you deal with any resentment you feel without taking it out on her. The Truth Hurts Donut says, I would leave my husband in a heartbeat if he ever allowed his parents to treat me this way. And if my parents ever spoke to my husband the way yours spoke to your wife, I would have them removed from our home. By police escort if need be. Cut them completely out of my life immediately and never look back. Your parents sound like horrible people, and you are nothing but a coward for not standing up to them. The things your mother said to your wife, holy crap. If you want to fix this, be a freaking man right now and tell your parents to get effed, and then do whatever you can to make it up to your wife if you even can. Parents or not, they have shown nothing but disrespect to the woman that you say you love. Do you really want that toxic BS in your life? Do you really want to associate with people who are acting like complete a-holes? Well, it's absolutely clear where the community stands and what they think OP should do. So now let's move on to the update that was written by OP's wife and see what happened after this. OP's wife here. He showed me this post as we were having our much needed conversation, and wow, it got a lot of replies. First, I was blown away by all the support in the comments. I wanted to let everyone know that I've been fine for the most part. This miscarriage was sudden and unexpected, and neither of us knew how to feel about it, but we've come to terms with it, and hopefully, in the near future, we'll have a more positive result. Secondly, to add some context to the previous post, we're Indian. User Adariel was accurate, and in our culture, it's kind of a given that you help your parents out as they grow older. It's also a common thing for parents to have long visits and whatnot. Third, my husband is a good guy. I can understand the vitriol coming his way over failing to see his parents' past behavior, but the thing is, neither of us was able to believe his parents were capable of such behavior. He hasn't spent much time with his parents. Growing up, he stayed with an aunt and a cousin to attend school, and with his grandparents during his college days, so he's never actually spent extended periods of time at home to note their behavior. The most time I've spent with them in the past was a week, and my parents were there too during that time. Okay, on to the actual update. After he kicked out his parents, my husband, Jack, came down to my brother's apartment to, in his words, take me home. Before he did though, we had a long conversation and we spoke about everything, which is how we came to the first and third points mentioned above. My brother was a champ and lent us his apartment for the night to give us privacy. I asked Jack what his plans with his parents were, and he told me he's not going to let them back into our lives unless they apologize. If they do apologize, then we'll allow them to see any future children, but it will always be supervised and they will never be left alone with them. He's on my side 100% and apologized for taking his parents' side. He told me it was hard for him to believe his parents, whom he'd always held in high esteem, were capable of behavior like that. I cried with him. I can't imagine what he's going through, having to cut your parents out of your life like that. But I am glad he's on my side. We'll be going for a few sessions of counseling together, and I'm hoping to persuade him to go individually too, to handle this whole cutting parents out situation. The next day, he booked a hotel room for the two of us, asked me to spend the day doing whatever I wanted, to kick back and order room service. He then organized for cleaners to clean our apartment up so I wouldn't have to do anything. He even got the carpet steamed clean. I was amazed. The room service was amazing. I am a bit sad about having to cook now. We're now firmly back home and it's good to be here, just the two of us. As for his parents, they've flown to stay with his Aunt Sandra. In my view, the best place for them because she takes absolutely no BS at all. He was going to call her and let her know what happened, but she ended up calling him the night his parents landed there, asking why we'd kick them out. He told her exactly what happened, told her not to let them spread rubbish against me, and she told him she'd take care of it. He also called a few of his close cousins to let them know what happened, so now if his parents try to drive his family against us, they can't. Smiley face. She called up again last night, telling us how frustrated they were that no one seemed to sympathize with them. Jack told me that he heard his mom screaming in the background about the devil her son had married, and Sandra yelled back at her, "You're the devil, hold your tongue." Apparently, when my mother-in-law got married to my father-in-law, her mother-in-law expected her to wait on her hand and foot and do all the chores, so and so forth, and she was waiting for Jack to get married so she could get the same treatment in return. It kind of explains why his father didn't say anything either. He's been used to his mother, Jack's grandma, treating his wife, Jack's mom, that way, so he didn't blink an eye when his wife yelled those things at me. I actually sometimes feel a little sorry for his mom, being married to someone who let them be treated that way. I hope his parents spending time with Sandra get some sense knocked into them, and they'll understand that unless they apologize, they won't have anyone to support them. Oh, and we spoke to my parents as well and cleared things up with them. I think they consider Jack more a son than they did before now. And while we've both thanked my brother several times, we've called him over the next weekend and we're going to be taking him out to a great dinner. And I'm making him lots of the food he likes to take back with him. If you have any other suggestions on how to thank him, let me know. Okay, so that's everything I think. We're now going to go binge watch Doctor Who and order pizza. Thanks again for all the replies. Well, OPs, to the both of you, thank you so much for sharing this update and the whole story. It was great to see how you guys eventually ended up working as a team, solved everything, and are in a much better place now. Hopefully Jack's parents will gain perspective and apologize, and if they don't, well, that's that. As for the rest of us, let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user UndecidedMN. Can't have white rope lights to celebrate Christmas? Okay, get ready for the color explosion! About 20 years ago, my wife and I had just gotten married and we rented a condo where all the windows and sliding doors faced the parking area. My wife, to celebrate our first Christmas as a married couple, put a white rope light on the railing on our 2-foot grilling area. It was a nice little gesture. That night we went out to dinner and when we came home, found a letter under our door. The letter read, "All holiday lights must be removed immediately from the exterior portion of the condo. Christmas or other religious lighting is against HOA policy, and failure to remove can result in fines and other legal actions." My wife felt horrible, and I couldn't believe it. The owner of the condo had left a copy of the HOA regulations, and I found a nice little loophole. Apparently, they could regulate lights on the exterior balcony or grilling area, but not lights inside the condo. Game on. I took my wife immediately to the big box hardware store and picked up 2 fake Christmas trees, about 2,000 colored lights, a light bulb, and whatever holiday decoration I could find. Our condo had 3 windows and the sliding glass door. I filled up each one of those windows with lights crisscrossing around the inside of the perimeter of the window, and one had the LED ball hanging in the center. The sliding door had the Christmas tree in full view, completely covered in lights and ornaments. Also, the sliding doors were full of Christmas lights. My electric bill must have tripled, but when you came into the parking lot of the condo complex, you saw a beacon of light full of Christmas spirit. You probably could see the condo from orbit, and nothing could be said by the HOA snitch. Apparently, at the next board meeting, a proposed rule change was brought up to limit the amount of holiday lighting being shown through windows. It was quietly pointed out by another HOA member that was an attorney that you probably could not regulate activities inside a person's dwelling. We moved out before next year, but I never received another notice. Ah, OP, beautiful malicious compliance, just sticking it to those nosy neighbors who believe they can just run your life. Well done, OP. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.